a tier list of items from the new Risk of Rain 2 DLC. Now, I know this DLC hasn't been the best, but I still see Gearbox somehow redeeming themselves. And I hope that they shall redeem themselves to give us something better, give us some new updates, and some balance a lot of these items. Good and bad. Alright, so starting off, we got Warped Echo. It's okay. The split damage is kind of nice, and pair it with Medkit, which is 2 seconds, and Warped Echo takes 3 seconds to split. So it's really good paired with Medkit, but it's still annoying that it gives you still the damage. It still gives you damage. Even, look, I feel like they should make it so that it halves the damage taken on one hit, which kind of sounds really, really good, but like make it just a chance lower. So I'm gonna put it in mid. Next up, we got Chronic Expansion, which basically just gives you a damage boost every time you kill enemies in quick succession. This is pretty good. I will always pick it up. Up, we got Bolstering Lantern, and yeah, I don't need to explain myself. Bolstering Lantern, basically what it does is it just increases your damage when you're below 50 health, like below half health. I hate it. I will only use it as scrap. And get something like Chronic Expansion, or a Crowbar, or a Tri-Tip. Knockback Fin. Yeah, better use the scrap. It just throws people in the air, throws enemies in the air, and you don't want to be disoriented when that happens. So, yeah, better use the scrap. Antlers. Ugh. I hate antlers. Antler shield. It's just the worst razor wire. Because it's a chance to reflect 10%, I think, of the damage back to the person. A chance to reflect 10%, where razor wire is a guaranteed reflection to everything around you. So this is literally just a worse version of razor wire. I will only pick it up for scrap. I'll just scrap it immediately. Moving on to the greens, we got Chancedol. Chancedol is pretty good. Hang on. Well, you want to pick up always the stuff that's mid and good. So let's just do this here. Chancedol is pretty good. Just increases chances of getting a better item from chance shrines, and those things are pretty common, so why wouldn't you want this? Just like get one, same with delivery checklist. Just like get one, or maybe a few, and just be on your merry way. Next up, we got Luminous Shot. What this does is when you use your secondary skill, your right click, your mouse too, it just charges up your primary skill, which is like your main shoot. I don't know the full details on this weapon, on this item, but future me here. So what Luminous Shot does is it charges up your primary attack and it makes it deal extra damage. That's it. I think, like, I would say that if it does what I think it does, which is it charges up all of the shots on your primary, this would go pretty well on Bandit, considering that his secondary skill is like a main go with his kit. So, I don't know the full details, so I'm just going to put it in mid for now. Sail Star, S tier. It's a free item. can be a free red item if you're on the tier 4 thing. Like Abyssal Depths and the other one. Not Siren's Call, though. Sadly. Just don't pick this up. It's like the unstable transmitter. Yeah, that's what it's called. Don't pick it up. Don't even use it as scrap. Let's say you find this, and you're like, oh, yeah, this item sucks. I'm going to use it for scrap. And then a stone golem blasts you in the head, and it procs the unstable transmitter. You're going to be teleported somewhere at the map, and you're going to be like, oh, great, I just lost like 15 seconds of time. Now, people that don't play Risk of Rain 2, you'll be like, oh, 15 seconds of time. That's not that bad. The whole game's like time oriented, so you don't want to lose time. So this is just bad. Don't pick it up ever. Prayer beads. I think I'm gonna put this. I think I'll put it in good. You might hate me for that. It depends on how you find it. If you just find it in a chest, yeah, it's good. Just like find a scrapper after after a stage, a few levels or something, and get some free stats. But if you find a 3D printer of prayer beads, you've won yourself the game. Like, you can just be sitting on a stage, complete the teleporter, but don't go in, and then just go to that 3D printer and start cranking out prayer beads for an hour. And you will be invincible. You'll have like 100,000 health. Noxious Thorn. Oh, yeah, I remember what this does. It's bugged right now. I'll put it above all of them because it's still decent. But it's bugged that it doesn't do the thing it's supposed to. What it's supposed to do is it puts bleed on something, and if that something already has a existing debuff, it will stack another of that debuff. That's what the game says, but it's not like that. And if there's a debuff on them, it just won't work. Next up, we got Growth Nectar. Put in good. Growth Nectar is basically just a reverse death mark, where if you have 5 or more buffs on you, you gain 20% gain to stats. But it's kind of hard to get 5 buffs. It's kind of like Deathmark. Like, it's annoying to get 5 buffs. It's annoying to get 4 debuffs on an enemy. It's annoying to get 5 buffs on you. I don't know if the bans and the what's it called? The corrupted tougher times, the safer spaces. I don't know if safer spaces counts as a buff. I know it procs Ben's raincoat, but I don't know if it does this. If it does, then it'll be a lot easier. And I'd probably put it in S tier, because that's basically a free gain to stats when you're later into a run. Next up we got War Bonds. Yeah. Scrap. Scrap it. Ugh, I hate this item. It shouldn't be a red, it should be a green. It really should be a green. What War Bonds does, it just gives you money. And the stacking of the money is so minuscule that it won't matter after like stage 3. If you somehow get War Bonds on stage 1, good for you. Go to like stage 4 and then scrap it. Next up, we got Runic Lens. I've just researched it on the wiki. I've never actually come across this in a regular game. I haven't Artifact of Commanded it yet. I've only done 1 run of Secret of the Storm with Artifact Command on. Runic Lens, judging on how the wiki shows it, it seems pretty decent. but I don't know how it works. Like, if the meteor comes down immediately after you hit someone, like, hit someone and then immediately hits, or if you hit someone and there's, like, a little marker on the ground, then it hits. Like, kind of like the lunar item that does that meteor storm. I don't know how it works. If it works how I think it does, where it just instantly hits after you hit someone, I think that'd be I'm gonna put it in good because I don't know how it works. Sonorous Whispers, S tier. Slay big boy, they instantly drop an item. I don't know what big qualifies as. I'm assuming it's just any boss monster without a health bar. And Electric Boomerang. It's good. It's not the first red. If I'm doing Artifact Command, I won't pick this up as my first red item, but it's pretty decent. It's a well-balanced red item. Ugh. Long-standing Solitude. Never picked this up. Never picked this up. What it does is it converts all of your gold to experience. Which, you'll be like, oh, that's not that bad. And then that experience, once you level up, you get a free purchase of a chest or a multi-shop or whatever. And you'd be like, oh, that's not that bad. Well, I assume that this item is to, like, shine upon, like, the obsolete leveling system. But the thing how leveling works in Risk of Rain 2 is it's exponential, not linear. 100 experience, but getting to level 20 takes like 500,000 experience, something like that. And then like level 50 is, I think, around 2 trillion XP. And if you hit level 50 in a normal game, you're gonna be God. Now, I can see somehow how this could work in some runs. Like, let's say you get Brittle Crown and Gore's Tome. That may be able to help you out a bit, but overall, I still hate this item. And Seed of Life. Oh, and I forgot to shine on the fact that there's a useless part of it that only influences your teammates when you're playing multiplayer, or it makes chests 50% more expensive. Why would they need to add that in? You're losing all your money anyways. It doesn't matter. So it just hurts your teammates instead of you. It'd be funny to troll people in this, but I hate it. Seed of Life, S tier. I don't need to explain this. Next up with Seekers of the Storm, we have the Survivors. Hang on. We'll just make this one F. Next up, we have all these Survivors. Woo! And I'm just gonna go through all of them, all the Survivors. Let's start in order, actually. And now we got the Survivors. I'm just gonna rank all of them. I think I got them in order, as good as I did. The freak. Starting with Commando, solid A tier. He's a good, well-rounded character and fits pretty much every playstyle. Huntress, C tier. I personally don't like her. Her damage in the not mid-game, starting out, is really minuscule, and her abilities are alright, I guess. Multi, Another C tier. I like messing around with his double gun thing. That ability. Power mode. But overall, I also just don't like playing him. He's slow, he's clunky. And his abilities also aren't that good. Bandit. I'd say solid S tier. Bandit is a very good character. And the fact that he can always get crits behind someone is very, very, very good. And his secondary ability is cracked on cocaine. Next up, we got Engineer. B tier. Bungus is silly on him. Artificer, S tier. One of the strongest characters in the game. Her abilities are great. Her movement is amazing. The only bad thing about her is that Flamethrower sucks. And that one can be swapped out. Mercenary, A tier. Again, I personally don't like him. But I know that he is very strong with his passive ability of the marking characters. And his abilities, very movement based, and very good. Rex, B tier. The healing's good. I like how his health is kind of like a mana bar. Very interesting. And his ability is pretty good. Acrid. I hate Acrid. Acrid sucks. Sorry, Acrid. Actually, there's one person worse than you, Acrid. So you know what? I'll give you the benefit of D tier. Give it up for Acrid, everyone! Woo! Loader, S tier. Great character, very well rounded. I like the way to get her by killing the secret boss on Siren's Call. And she's pretty strong. Captain, A tier. Bit silly. Can do some silly stuff with his attack, nuke, strike. And defensive microbots is pretty cool. Railgunner, A tier. I like Railgunner. She's pretty good. When I was gifted Risk of Rain 2, I was given it with Survivors of the Void, and this is the first person I played because I like heavy hitters. And I put on 2 shaped glasses and turned myself into a glass cannon. Void Fiend. Oh my gosh, I love Void Fiend. I sucked at the game when I got this with Survivors of the Void. And I'm like, ugh, Voidling's too hard. I'm gonna do Simulacrum. It was actually a lot of fun. I got to like wave 60. First try. It was pretty fun. Moving on. Actually, let's do Heretic first before we do Survivors of the Void. I about put her in F tier and then I realized, oh wait, it's Heretic. A tier. I like the way that Transcendence just completely nullifies her passive debuff of health degeneration. And the abilities are quite strong. Although, I probably wouldn't choose Heretic. I'd probably just get Strides of Heresy. And if I'm playing Railgunner, I'd get the Visions of Heresy. Overall, Heretics is pretty good. Her abilities are alright. But the thing is that some of her abilities aren't really that good. Like her special. Which only really works with, not Strides, Visions of Heresy. Pretty decent. Now, moving on to not Survivors of the Void, Seekers of the Storm. We got Seeker, named after A tier. Lots of characters going into A tier. Seeker's quite strong. One of my favorite characters out of like the entire roster. And definitely my favorite out of the DLC. Sorry, I'm a bit sick. False Sun, B tier. Future me here again. I'd like to change my opinion on False Sun. I'm gonna put him in A tier. I still stand by my statement of him being jank with his animations, but his overall gameplay is actually really, really fun. All those False Sun enjoyers are gonna come after me. Pitchforks and flames. I like him. He's strong, but his animations just feel so clunky. It feels like he was made in Blender in 30 minutes. It's just very clunky, sketchy. I don't like his animations. Chef,